Hello guys, welcome back to a random video, and today I'm going to be answering some very random questions. Now, first of all, thank you for asking questions about me. I'm not a very interesting person, but you all came up with some interesting questions, so for that, thank you for giving me something to do for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Let's get started with our first question. Do you agree that the main systemic problem in our society revolves around the disadvantages of our modern youth? It's a key problem. I think it's not talked about enough, but it's not the main systemic problem, and it's not my job to define the main systemic problem, so I'm going to say no. What is your favorite block in Minecraft? There are two schools of thought. There's Diamond Door, because it's diamonds, and the command block, but you can just use a command block to get Diamond Door if you want to cheat, so I'm going to say command block. Who would win in a presidential election, Andy Beshear or Larry Hogan? Andy Beshear, and it would not be that close. Do you believe that Tucker Carlson would be a good nominee for the GOP? And could Herschel Walker win the 2022 Senate election in Georgia? I'm going to say Herschel Walker could. He's probably the GOP's best candidate, obviously better than Loeffler. But I wouldn't say he'd win. I think he'd come close, though. I think he'd do better than Loeffler, that's for sure. Probably lose by under 1%. Do you think Tucker Carlson nominee for the GOP? I think Carlson would not be a great. He'd be okay. He'd get the Trump base to turn up, but I don't think he'd be. I think he'd be pretty bad in the suburbs. So Carlson, no. Would Sherrod be a good Democrat presidential nominee in 2028? He'd be too old by then. 2024, he'd be a kind of an electoral behemoth, in my opinion, but in 2028, probably not. Now, this is a very good question, and I'm going to take a moment to thank Harold Brick for writing this, because we're being silenced, we're being censored, and we need to keep telling people, tell your friends, tell your family that Wyoming does not exist. We need to abolish what we know as Wyoming. So just thought I'd take a moment to pump that. But what is actually inside the void that the government calls Wyoming? Also, are all of the Wyoming at holograms or just paid actors? Now, to answer your second question, because it's easier to answer, now, Wyomingites, I think that there are three types of people who claim to be Wyomingite or have been there. So, first, let's just walk you through what happens if you say you're crazy enough to say, I want to go to Wyoming, and you try to drive to Wyoming. So, say you try to drive there, right? And you're driving through Colorado, and then you go to the border. You can't really see it. It's like you're blinded. And then next thing you know, you're sitting in a room. It's completely white, and there are these people who work for the government, and they throw a blanket over your head, and they say this is gonna be really quick, and then they inject a memory into your brain, and that memory is blissful skiing in Jackson Hole, and visiting Cheyenne, and meeting Cynthia Loomis in Wyoming. But in reality, there's a black hole, and they don't want you to see it. So they're injecting memories into your brain, and they are essentially erasing your memory of you driving there. So you're either half of your brain is possessed by the government. B, you're a paid actor, like say you're Kanye West. Now Kanye is too famous for the government to try to erase his memories or put in fake memories. So what they do instead is they pay him millions upon millions of dollars. And by the way, that's why the U.S. debt is so big. It's so big because do people actually think that we're spending money on healthcare and education? No, we're spending our money on paying Kanye West to tell us that Wyoming actually exists, and that is why we're in such big trouble. There's a third type person from Wyoming, and that's just someone who is trying to mess with you, who knows who's in on it, but their friend works for the government, and they're from southern Montana, so they're like, you know what? I'll just tell this person that I am from Wyoming. But that's definitely the rarest breed of a quote unquote Wyomingite, because we all know, you don't really know anyone from Wyoming who's actually from Wyoming. Now, what is actually in the void that the government calls Wyoming? Now, that's the good question here, because I don't really know. Now, obviously, I'm not crazy enough to drive up to Wyoming and say, hey, guys, I'm just going to go in the void, don't mind me. But I do think it has something to do with a failed government experiment. Spooky stuff happens. Bad stuff happens in Wyoming. So we don't need to talk about it too much. But we don't know what's in there. I don't have any interest in finding out because it's too scary. But Harold, if you want to go to Wyoming to try to figure it out, it was nice knowing you. Would you vote for Abraham Lincoln in 2024? He'd be dead, so no. But he was a good president, so I'll give him that. Number 1, yes. Number 2, in 2024, probably Phil Scott's my favorite Republican right now. Number 3, I'm not sure, but I think it's just these most minorities vote Democrat overwhelmingly, and Indians and I guess Eastern Asian Americans are smaller minorities that just vote Democrat. Like, I'll have to do more research on that, but I think it could have something to do, like, when they first came, the Republican, for Asian, for, like, Chinese Americans, for example, that uh, that Republicans were more, I think it was Chester Arthur, who was a Republican president, who signed a travel ban from the Chinese coming to America. That could have something to do with it. Will North Carolina flip in 2024? Depends on who the candidates are. And number 5, who's currently the best governor? It's close. I kind of have a few things floating around in my head, but I think that I think Phil Scott's a pretty good governor. I think that Michelle Lujan Grisham's a good governor. I think Tony Evers is a good governor. Obviously, there are some bad ones. I'm trying to think who else. Ned Lamont gets too much hate. I think Inslee's been a decent governor for Washington. I think Jared Polis is a pretty good governor. I think Sisolak's a good governor. So yeah, are there any conspiracy theories you actually believe in? Now, people say that Wyoming existing is, people say that Wyoming not existing is a conspiracy theory, and that it's actually not a conspiracy theory. It's the truth, and honestly, if you don't think that, and like if you're still one of those Wyoming existers, I don't really have any interest in talking to you, because honestly, what kind of fool thinks that there's actually 700,000 people living in a black hole in the middle of Western America? Like, literally no sense at all. And also, why would that shape just be a square shape? It's obviously a failed government experiment. But yeah, if it's Trump v. Biden in 2024, will NC flip? Probably. Does Trump have a chance of winning in 2024? I wouldn't bet on it. Who is your favorite Republican and Democratic senator? I'd probably say for the Democratic Party, I'd have to go with Sherrod. I think he's honest. I think he's blunt. I think he's for the people, and for that, I really do respect him. And I also admire, as a Democrat, I think it's pretty cool that there's still a Democrat in representing Ohio in the Senate, despite the fact that it went for Trump by 8%. Now for the Republicans, I don't really care for any Republican senator. I think they're all kind of they're either they don't really have any moral compass, or they're just spineless. Romney, I think, has the best morals out of any Republican, but in terms of policy, probably Lisa Murkowski, with Susan Collins being second. And do pineapples belong on pizza? Absolutely not. What kind of question is that? It's a ridiculous question. It's not a question. It's pineapples do not belong on pizza. In fact, I just had pizza like an hour ago, and it did not have pineapples, and it was delicious. Would you vote for Doggocrats or Republicans? I'd probably be, it's close. I'd be more of a swing voter, but I think Doggocrats just sounds better. It's easier to pronounce than Republicans. So Doggocrats, but I could see myself being a more moderate Republican. And is there any Republican idea you support? This is a tricky question, and I actually saw this. This is one of the first questions that I got, I believe, and I was, thinking about this. And it was, this is a good question. Things I like 2 seconds ago, but I think that in terms of education, I'm quite conservative on this. Now, I do think that there should be, both states and federal government involved. So I think that the federal government should have ground rules. For example, they should have kind of an outline. And, an example would be, if you're born as a biological male and you are transgender and you identify as female, that you should be allowed to play female sports. You like play in a girls' soccer league instead of playing with boys. I think that is not debatable. That should not vary by state. I think females in Montana should have the same right as females in Washington. So just thought I'd bring that up. But I think that we need to decentralize education to a certain extent, because you have, if the nitty-gritty elements of a school curriculum should be able to be, people should have the option to make it different in county by county. So for that reason, I think that's a more conservative idea that I support. And I think the Democratic Party is moving way too far to the left on education, but that's just me. You may disagree. That's cool. And this is not even a Republican idea, but this is a perceived to be conservative idea stereotypically. It's that burning the American flag is disrespectful. Burning the American flag is disrespectful. So, yeah. And then, lastly, this is just stuff that I disagree with Democrats at this point. I think I don't think AOC is that productive. I'm not a huge fan of her. I think she has ideas that are really worth discussing, but she hasn't put forth any huge legislation in Congress, and I think that she gets too much media attention. So for that reason, AOC, not a huge fan of AOC. Now moving on to the anonymous forum, where we got 32 questions. Now, some of them are going to be filtered out because I don't feel comfortable answering some of these questions. A few were repeats of other questions, and some were just plain a little weird, and that's why they probably put in the anonymous form. But 22 made the cut, or I think. I'm not sure. That's what I think when I did the math, but I'm bad at math. Favorite congressional district, Nevada second, not even close. Do you think John Glenn would have made a good president? Probably, but I don't know enough about him to talk about it in detail, but I'll say probably. What are your biggest hobbies outside of YouTube? And I'm gonna say this is a good question because people, and this is not meant to be a low jab at all, but I think people, I'm not a walking, talking elections machine in that this is all I think about. Now, it's a big part of my life, and I'm so grateful. And I know everyone says this, and I wish there was a way they could better communicate it. But I am so grateful for the support I've received on this platform. Even just a year, like we're coming up on a year of me making this channel, but a year ago or 2 years ago, I was still into politics, but I could not have imagined that, I'd have over 1 million views on YouTube, or that 4.5 thousand people would be consistently tuning into my videos. And that's just incredible. And for all of you to find me on this platform, and I know there are so many other, and I'll name some of them because you guys deserve it. Political pundit, election motion, political predictions and analysis, and I know that there are probably some more that I'm forgetting about, and I appreciate all of you, but I am so lucky that the YouTube algorithm decided to recommend me to people, and that you guys have found me, and I think that it's so important that we continue to talk about politics on YouTube, and I think you should subscribe to all the channels I mentioned. I think that they're a key, that I think everyone deserves the support that I've been lucky enough to receive on this platform, and I am eternally humbled by your guys' dedication to watching my videos, and I cannot thank you enough. But to go back to this question, and I'm going to answer your question now, to whoever is watching this and is impatient and wants me to shut up. Hobbies outside of YouTube. Now, I do play basketball. I do play pretty competitively. I play in leagues, so basketball, big part of my life outside of YouTube. And for those of you who are wondering, my position is shooting guard. I'm also pretty big into watching professional sports, specifically the NFL. For those of you who don't know, I am a Seahawks fan. I think I've worn like a lot. Like every day that I decide to stream or show my face, I'm wearing a Seahawks hoodie. So, I guess a lot of you probably know that I am a Seahawks fan. I also like to listen to music. I think everyone does that though. And yes, I am a kid, so I do play Minecraft occasionally. But don't tell anyone that, because it's a deep dark secret that will be buried in my brain eternally forever. That I played Minecraft last night. No, I'm kidding. I didn't. But Minecraft is a cool game. Do you like Harry Styles' music? Absolutely not. What's your favorite song? Definitely American Pie by Don McLean. Now, Don McLean, not my favorite singer. Actually, he has a pretty cool story that you should totally check out. But definitely my favorite song. He's not my favorite artist because he has one good song, which is American Pie. But it's still 8 minutes and like 37 seconds, I think, of it's a masterpiece. Now, it's kind of more poetic than it is an actual song, and I respect it because it's not some random guy singing about how he broke up with his girlfriend. And, obviously, sad songs are wonderful, but I think American Pie represents something more, and for that, I really like the song. Plus, it bops. It's a legendary song, and my dream would be to learn it on guitar. I'm not good enough at guitar that I can play that, though, so that. Who did you support in the Democratic primary for the president? I'm assuming. I'm going to say kind of 3 people, and I'll give you reasons why. Elizabeth Warren, because I think her policies really spoke to me. Amy Klobuchar, because I think her policies were most achievable, and because she would have been the most effective president. Pete Buttigieg, because I think we needed a young person in office who actually, I felt, I really respected Buttigieg for how young he was, and, well, not really that, but I think his policies were achievable, and because he was young, and I think that we are electing presidents who are way too old. I think that we should not allow anyone who's over the age of 65 to run for president, and it's disappointing that it came down to a 78-year-old, 77-year-old, and a 74-year-old or something like that. So yeah, are you smart? Now this is actually a question that I get a lot, and I'm not going to say this really comes down to what you define as smart, and I actually don't think I'm not stupid. I don't think I'm a very stupid person, but I don't think I'm very smart. I'm not people have asked me to take an IQ. By the way, IQ is a horrible way of measuring intelligence because I've taken IQ tests online before, and one day I get 180, and then another day I get 120, or I'm below average or something. These IQ tests are horrible, and taking an online IQ test and then getting your ego inflated because you got top 1%. definitely shouldn't do that. IQ is a horrible way to measure intelligence. Just let throw that out there. But no, I'm going to say I'm not a very smart person. I think I'm very average, just generally speaking. Now, I do have knowledge about politics, but that's going to get me nowhere in life. So for that reason, I'm going to say I'm not very smart. If you know and feel comfortable sharing, what place do you have heritage in? Good question, and I feel totally comfortable sharing. I think I'm like basically 100% European. I think I'm like I'm Irish, Ukrainian, Polish, French. I think I'm like a little bit British, Norwegian, and I think Norway is a pretty cool country. And I think I'm like part Canadian or something. I have no idea. Like it's like 1/50th or something. It's like 2%. Which states will be added as battlegrounds are no longer battlegrounds in 2028 and 2032? I think by then, by 2028, I think Texas will be leaning Democratic. I think Utah will be a 5 to 10 point Republican state. I think Alaska is going to be only lean Republican. I think South Carolina is going to be lean Republican. I think Pennsylvania is going to be lean Democratic. But at the same time, like I think Wisconsin could be gone for Democrats for a bit in 2032 because Wisconsin looked like the main Rust Belt state that's trending away from Democrats. So Wisconsin really bad for Democrats in the future. Just thought I'd throw that out there. What is your thought about Biden running for re-election? I mean, from a personal standpoint, I'm not hyped about it. I don't like Kamala Harris. Now, people say that I hate on Kamala Harris too much, and I think that's, I'm kind of neoliberal in some ways, and even as a neolib, I still don't love Kamala Harris for a few reasons. But Biden, I mean, if he runs in 2024, I'll probably support him, but not ideal. I just wish they weren't stuck with either him or Kamala. I'd rather have someone else run, but it's probably going to be him in 2024, so, maybe. Which Midwestern state is your favorite to analyze politically? Great question. Definitely Wisconsin, although Pennsylvania comes in if you consider that Midwest, like, not really, but if you count that as Midwest, Pennsylvania definitely comes in a close second because I like to say it's trending blue and that triggers everyone on Twitter for that reason. But Wisconsin's still probably number one. Who are your favorite and least favorite governors of both parties? Favorite, I've mentioned a few, but I'll say Michelle Lujan Grisham or Laura Kelly. I forgot about her when I mentioned her, but Kelly's a great governor. And for the Republican Party, I'm going to say the favorite governor for them, probably Phil Scott. Now, my least favorite Republican governor is probably, I'm going to say Brian Kemp, or Greg Gianforte, but probably Brian Kemp. And then my least favorite Democratic governor is obviously Andrew Cuomo. What's your favorite category of race to analyze? House, Senate, President, Governor? Senate. Where can we contact you and you'll respond? I tried contacting you through email. Now, I don't know who this is, but I don't really check my email regularly, at least for unbiased election predictions or unbiased election projections at gmail.com. Now, if you do email me and it's something, I don't know who this is. If it's something like spamming me, because I've got spam emails too, of course, that are annoying. And collab requests, I'm usually pretty okay with those. I'll try to email you back. But it really depends. Like I might not see it. It might go to my spam folder, which I have no intent of checking. So email me again. I'll see if I can get to it. But again, I'm not great with that. Same with Discord. Like I get random DMs on Discord and on Twitter, and again, not great with like responding to those. And I'm not going to give out my Snapchat. Do you think Kevin Faulconer could beat Gavin Newsom in 2022? No way. Do you have a girlfriend? Who asked this? Okay, I should have filtered that out too. Okay, that's that was honestly because I filtered out some of these questions and like I deleted some responses that I didn't feel comfortable answering. But great. No, I thought I wasn't asked that question. Do you think Joe Biden has been a good president so far, or do you think him falling down 3 times on the stairs mean anything? Some of my Republican friends say he's mentally disabled, and nominating him for president is just elderly abuse, and that they feel bad for him. Talking about all his "if you don't vote for me, you ain't black" or out of the 300, I'm sorry, kind of stuttering. Would you agree? Now Joe Biden is not as sharp as he used to be, and there's no debating that. He's 78 years old. He's not as sharp as he was 20 years ago. No debate about that. But he doesn't have dementia. He doesn't have early stages of dementia. And I think when people say that, that's a very, I feel bad for the guy. I think he's, we need to get dark, but I think he'll be alive for 10 more years. I want him to retire have a nice life with his wife, have a nice life with his family, go golfing with his grandkids, just have fun. He's being president, and I think that the least we can, like, you can disagree and criticize him all you want, but I think that when people make fun of him falling down the stairs, look, it wasn't particularly fun for him. It was probably embarrassing. But Mike Pence did it in June of 2020. Obama did it twice. It happens for every president. Like, I've tripped before, and no one accused me of having dementia. So I think when people talk about this, and him saying you ain't black, he's an old-fashioned guy. I think that slipped out. That was pretty stupid, though. He doesn't have dementia, and for that, I'm willing to back him up on this. How long does it take to make a video? Now, this is actually a very good question. Now, for an election night, it takes me like forever. Those are really fair videos to make. Now, they get a lot of views, which is why I do them, and because they're fun to make, kind of. But they make me cringe because like I hear myself like talking like Wolf Blitzer, and I don't sound like Wolf Blitzer, so it kind of makes me cringe. But whatever, they're kind of cool. But they do take me like probably to make the slides combined. It takes like 4 hours to make the slides. Then you have to record, then edit it, which takes about an hour, depending on how long the election night is. So election night's 5 to 6 hours. Just normal prediction. I don't need to edit too much. Probably just half an hour to an hour. And then this video is probably going to take me a bit because I have to edit. It takes like 50 screenshots. It's going to be awesome. So, and the final question is, are you good at making videos? This is a really random question, and whoever asked this, you're a legend, because I have a perfect story to talk about this. So, I was sitting on my bed. I think it was like August or September or something. I was sitting on my bed talking with some random Senate race, God knows what, and my window was open, and a bee flew into my room, and I was sitting on my bed because this is like back when like I didn't have my actual setup. Where now I'm sitting in my swivel chair at my desk talking into a microphone. I was sitting on my bed, and I was it was a lot more chill. I was sitting on my bed, and a bee comes in and stings me as I'm filming a video, and I'm not even kidding. Like I wish I was making this up. So, I end up running downstairs. I didn't, I didn't pause the recording. Why was I going to pause the recording when I had a bee sting in my thumb or my pointer finger or something? So I had to. That was fun. Just thought I'd bring that up. So, am I good at filming videos? I'm pretty bad at them. So, you guys have gotten stung by a bee during a video, and had to delete that recording. Obviously, that's it. And also, why did you call me Bay? I'm a human, not a bay, and you spelled Bay wrong. Bay is spelled B-A-Y, not B-A-E. So, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you disliked it for whatever reason because my answers triggered you, be sure to leave a dislike. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate your guys' support, and I'll see you all next one. Goodbye.